Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing good and safe and ready to digest some new concepts, or should I say revise some concepts. So we are going to cover, good evening all of you. We are going to cover prepositions and connectors as the primary topics for today, and we will try to cover something about reorders and some basic questions if you will have. We'll have a discussion on that as well. So first we'll start with prepositions followed by connectors and then some basic things about blanks and reorders. So before we begin with the definitions and technical stuff, I would advise you, like I did in the previous class, to be patient in the beginning. At times when we are learning or when we are revising concepts, sometimes it is not very clearly understood until we reach to the part of examples, because examples help us to understand what the definitions convey, because definitions generally are a bit technical in language. So if we just read the definition and we think, okay, I'm not understanding, just stay calm, be patient. And definitely we have tried to accommodate very easy examples to make the things clear to you. Still, during the session, if you will be having any doubts, please use the chat box and the comment section, those who are watching the live video, to ask whatever your confusions are. But let the concept or one particular part of that concept finish. And then if you feel like you still have any doubts, please use the chat box and the comment section to ask the same. So just give me 1 minute and we will begin. So are you able to see this screen having written prepositions on the top? Can I get 1 or 2 thumbs up to know if it is done? Okay, great. Let me just once check. All right. So what are prepositions? So, okay. Before we start, do we have any questions? This class is being live streamed on the Facebook page, so you can watch it later anytime. You don't need to ask for recording for this. Just go to Language Academy PTE Academic Group and it is recorded there for your convenience if you want to see it again in the future. Anything else before we begin, or shall we start? Okay. So what are prepositions? The definition says preposition is a word or group of words used before a noun, pronoun, or noun phrase to show direction, time, place, location, special relationship, or to introduce an object. So basically, these are the words which are written in examples: to, in, into, on to, at, on, since, for, by, during, until, and there are many more like these. The important thing that you should know is these words help us to understand direction, or to be more easy, we can say to show direction, time, place, location. These 4 words are really very important, which are direction, time, place, location. Then comes spatial relationship. I'll explain to you what is that, what are all these one by one. And in the end, or to introduce an object to us. So we will do each of these one by one. For example, the first one is prepositions of direction. which are to, in, into, on, and onto. Bear my typing errors, please. This is o and on and onto. So how we'll proceed is, first we will tell you that which prepositions are used for what purpose. For example, for direction, we use these prepositions. So when you are in your blanks, how you can simplify things for you, if you have 4 options or if we have 2-3 options, and you can read the sentence and find out, is the sentence trying to convey a direction? Is it trying to convey a place or time? And based on that, you will know that, okay, these 4 go with place, these 4 go with time. And based on that, you can eliminate the irrelevant options. So with direction, we use to, in, into, on, and onto. The 3 examples below will make it clear. What do we mean by direction is, she drove to the store. So to is telling you the direction of driving, that which direction or where did she go? She drove to the store. Next is, do not ring the bell, come right into the house. So into here is telling you the direction, that where do you have to come? You have to come inside the house, and into is used when you mean coming inside. So then we use into. Then the last one says, drive onto the grass and park the car there. So again, drive onto means which direction do you have to drive or where do you have to drive, and then park the car there. So these 3, this is how you have to read your sentence and find out in the blanks, is the sentence trying to convey any direction of movement? Then you will use one out of these options given to you. Now, one by one, we'll also understand the difference between how can we understand that what we need is in or into, what we need is on or onto. So the difference between in and into is whether or not there is movement shown in the sentence. So into is used when something is going or being put into another location. And in is used to describe where someone or something already is. So the basic difference between in and into is whether there is a movement or not. If there is a movement happening, then you will select into. If there is no movement, something is already at the place, then we use in. Example for that is, like, she is in the room. Now there is no movement happening. The girl is already in the room. So we won't say she is into the room. We'll say she is in the room because there is no movement happening. She's not going, she's not coming. She's already there. So this is the difference between into and in. Now, if we look into this previous example, they said, do not ring the bell, come right into the house. This was a movement that you have to start walking and you have to come inside of the house. So that is why it had into. And otherwise, if there is no movement, then we say in. All right. So the 2 things that we have covered till here is, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prepositions of direction generally. And out of those 5, we have understood 2. 2 is bit general. So like, she drove to this, or I came, she went to that. So that is 2 is general. The confusion comes with in and into and on and onto. So the difference between them is whether there is movement or not. All right. Any confusion, anyone till here? Okay, let me finish with on and onto and then I'll ask. So with on and onto, it is exactly same. I move ahead with on and onto. Similarly, on and onto is again the same. It is used onto to describe movement towards an end position. For example, the path leads onto the main road. For example, this means that if you keep following the path, keep moving along the path, where you will reach will be the main road. So when there is a movement which is leading towards an end position, so then we use onto. But again, you can keep in mind that on and onto, the differences, onto is used when you have to show movement and then you have to reach to some destination, then it is onto. Otherwise it will be on, like keep the book on the table. So there is no movement in that, then we'll use on. Right? So if we have any doubts in this. So I've got difference between into and onto. Into and onto cannot be the difference. Into and onto is not confusing. Into is going inside and onto is not going inside. Onto is just going towards something and then there will be a definition. Onto means when there is a surface and you're showing movement on that surface to reach a destination, that is onto. In that you cannot say the path leads into the main road, because you cannot go inside the main road. So into, don't confuse yourself with in and on. In and on remains the same. Like you cannot confuse yourself with keep the book in the table. It's not possible. You'll say on the table. So in and on, keep those things clarified. Just in and into is to be decided on the basis of whether there is movement or not. All right. Don't, okay, I may not with tenses, just understand the concept, because they can be framed in any way. So we are not saying that, like if we go to the previous sentence, it said that come right into the house. It was not coming right into the house. But if you say continuous tense, then it has to have ing with that. So it's nothing like that, that you have to have ing. You have to just understand that the sentence is having movement or not having movement. But movement does not here mean continuous tense, because continuous tense will mean having ing with it. Okay. Right. So let's move ahead to the next topic, which is prepositions of time. Three main prepositions which are related to time are in, at, and on. So we'll do these one by one. With in is used when you want to say parts of the day, months, years, and seasons. This is quite clear with the example. Like we say, he reads in the evening. So in is the part of the day, like morning is a part of the day, afternoon, evening. These are parts of one day. So with them, we use in the evening. With months, we say the weather is cold in December. Years, she was born in 1996. Or same way, it can be seasons, like it is very cold in winter season. So with these three things, four things rather, parts of the day, months, years, and seasons, we use in as a preposition. Moving ahead with at is used with times of the day and with noon, night, and midnight. So like, for example, times would be like simply 2, 3, 4 p.m. I go to work at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. any time of the day. And then if you want to say something with noon, night, or midnight, so I go to work at noon. So this way. So it is in with parts of the day and months, years, and seasons. At with times of the day. So on is with days. When you say I work on Saturdays, on Wednesdays. So when you have a day written, the name of the day, then you say on. We don't say I work at Sundays or I work in Sundays. It is I work on these days. Then at with times and in with parts or months and years. They are easy, but when these things are framed in big complex sentences with technical languages, then they can confuse you. So if the basics will be clear, then those technical words won't confuse. Those big sentences won't confuse, because what you will check is what is written after the blank. Is it the name of the month? Is it the name of the day? Is it an year written? So that you only look at that and you select your answer. Okay. So this is prepositions of time, in, at, and on. Any doubts in this particular part, prepositions of time? At night, not in night, at night. at is written here with noon, night, and midnight, it will be at. Okay, one more thing. Don't think that at is used only in these things or in is used only with these things. You have to, what we are trying to make you understand is segregating the big whole topic of prepositions to give you hints for the blanks. Yes, definitely we can use at with numerous other things, like Pritam gave an example that she's at home. Yes, obviously we use at with time, at with that, but what we are distinguishing here is time, that what are different prepositions which all are used with respect to time and how to differentiate between them. Okay, so yeah, you have to come with prepositions on places, Suraj. Just make the time part clear for yourself and then we'll move ahead. Okay, so let's see what we have is prepositions for extended time, which are since, for, by, during, until, with, and within. So extended time, bit difficult to understand like that, but the examples will make it very clear. And these are the prepositions which go with it. The first one says, I have lived in Australia since 2005. Now, since, what is the meaning of since? This word comes a lot in blanks, and a lot of students ask that how exactly we know the use of since. So take this easy sentence, I have lived in Australia since 2005. The meaning of this is that I moved here in 2005, means I moved in Australia in 2005 and I still live here. So since represents from the starting of something till now is what is the meaning of since. From the starting of a time period, whatever is written after since, it says starting of that and till present time is the meaning of since. So when you say, I have lived in Australia since 2005, you don't have to say it again that I still live here. Since makes it clear that you are still living here from starting from whatever you have mentioned. So this means I have lived in Australia since 2005 means I moved in 2005. That is the starting point. And till now in the present time, I live here. The next one is he will be in Toronto for 3 weeks. What does this mean is he will spend 3 weeks there. So for 3 weeks means in the future, he will be there for 3 weeks and he will spend 3 weeks there. Then is by, she will finish the work by 6 p.m. So by means when you want to say any time between now that you are saying it till the maximum is 6 p.m. That is the use of by. By means you have to give the end point starting from now when you are saying that thing. So that is the use of by. You have to say end point after that. Like with since we give the starting point and with by we give the ending part, that till that's a maximum thing. Then next is they are in school from August until May. So this means starting in August and ending in May. That is the use of until, means ending in May, they will be in school. That's the last month. So until ends the duration for us. From begins a duration and until ends a duration. The last one is she will graduate within 2 years. So within tells us that this is the maximum boundary that we have. It will not be longer than 2 years. So that is within means not longer than that. We are saying it today that she will graduate within 2 years, but we know that she won't take longer than that is when we will say within 2 years. Right? So these are prepositions for, they are called extended time, but you don't really need to bother about what exactly is extended time here. It yes means durations. So these are all the things. Since is when you have the starting point mentioned and you want to say that starting from that till now you live there or whatever is it is still there. For is to show the future part, future duration for how many, how much time period, the duration. And then by tells us the ending, that's starting from now. By means that's the maximum. From and until means from starting and until the ending. And within is within that duration. You won't go longer than that or out of that. It will be within, between, what should I say, before that, or maximum will be that. So that is the use of within. Any questions in these ones? I think the first sentence would be, I have been living in Australia since 2005. And this is what I wanted to convey, Yaspreet, that when you say since, you don't have to mention it that you are currently living. Since makes it clear that you are currently living. So even if you do not use ing to state that you are also now living, it does not make difference, because since makes it clear that you still live here. So I have lived means you are in present tense. Have is present tense. So you don't need to say that currently I am living. Have and since makes it clear that you are currently living as well. And yes, somebody has asked the difference between till and until. Okay, till and until are very closely related. Both of them to a greater extent mean the same. If you will have these two in your as one option choice, you will always select until. That's more academic. Till is used in conversational language, oral language, but when it comes to formal writing, until is the word that you have to choose, not till. So if you'll have both, to my knowledge and understanding, you won't get such a selection in the exam, but if you get, go with until. Then we have, so your exam starts at 2 or from 2 p.m. depends upon if you want to finish there. If you finish there, then it has to be starts at 2 p.m. because we just said that with times of the day, you say at. Like we say, I go to work at 8 a.m. So you have to choose at with when you have times. And if you're giving the duration, like your exam starts from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m., then you have to say with from. So it depends upon the writing style. Try to be on time. With the word time, we say on time. Like we say, I am on time. We don't say I'm at time. We say I'm on time. Right? What else do we have? Yes, Preet, like you said, I have used present perfect continuous and I understood that. So what I wanted to say is that this one written on the screen is not wrong. What you have written is also correct. But if you are writing it to just convey specifically that I am currently living, then it is not required, is what I am saying. So you have to say that I have been living. If you're writing it just to say that I am currently living, then you don't need to do that, is what my thing is. But doing that does not mean that the tense is wrong. That's your way of writing. If you have to write in continuous form, then you can write in that. Okay. So let's see what we have next. Next we have is prepositions of place, which is in, at, on, and what next? Inside. Okay, before that, we have a question. We had in the assignment on. Okay, on and in here depends, Muhammad, that are you talking about limit, or you just want to say that I did it on time? So you can say that I did my assignment on time. If you want to say that, for example, it was given 14th is the date given to you and you did it on 14, may say I gave my assignment on time. If you are telling somebody that I did it given in the within the given time frame, that then you can say that I gave my assignment in time. In time means you're talking about the duration. So it depends upon what perspective you are talking about it. So this is easy to ask like this, or but when it will be in the form of a paragraph given to you, you will definitely know the before and after thing, and you will understand whether they're talking about duration or they're just talking about that when did it happen. Okay. In would be better, Komoda, in that case. Okay, so next is prepositions of place. So in, at, on, and inside with respect to place. Now, if you can see that the prepositions are being repeated, we did in before also. So please make it clear. Please make it clear for yourself that the prepositions can be repeated, but their use with respect to that why are they being used can be changed, can be different. Like with place, you have to think from a different perspective. And with time, like with time, you know that now that at comes with when we are talking about times 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and we are talking about noon, night, midnight, and we put at. Now you have to understand at when you talk about place. So things can be a bit messy if you will say that, okay, at is used there and there. That is why the segregation has been done. So try that when you revise and when you kind of learn the concepts, you learn with segregations, because in the exam, the sentence will make it clear whether they're talking about time or whether they're talking about place. So in is used with respect to place when you want to say the point itself, which means they will meet in the lunchroom. Now, in is used when you want to say particularly where the point itself is given. They will meet in the lunchroom. Now, just imagine that if they're saying the lunchroom, obviously it makes it clear that there will be only one lunchroom. And the meaning of saying if there is a building and everybody would know where is the lunchroom, so there won't be like confusion of many rooms to find the lunchroom. If it is named, there will be one. So in is used when you have the point itself clearly mentioned. At is used the general vicinity. Now she was standing at the corner. Now corner can be corner of building, corner of park, corner can be right corner, left corner, any corner. So it's a general vicinity, general area. Then we say at with general vicinity. In when you're specifying the point itself. On is used when you have the surface, like he left the phone on the bed. So after on, you have the surface that on what is the phone left or placed. And inside is used when you're talking about something contained, like place the pen inside the drawer. So the drawer itself is contained in something, in a kind of, what is it, box, and you have a drawer inside it. So something contained means you have a place to keep it inside that. So then we use inside, place the pen inside the drawer. So in when you have the point itself in this place. At when you're talking about general vicinity, at the corner, which can be any corner. On when you have the surface, and inside when you're talking about something contained. Yes, I will meet you at the cafe would be correct, because if you're talking in a general way, particularly like, again, you see, when the things are in conversational language, they are very different than when you will use them in an academic formal written paragraphs. So if you understand these concepts, it will be, you won't be confused when you will be doing paragraphs. But yes, if you'll keep on thinking about dialogue form, understand that dialogue form is only conversational language. That language we don't get in the context, because all we keep on doing is in informal way we can use this, and in formal way we have to use this. So these explanations will perfectly fit in the formal sense when you will be there. But still, let me have a look on your doubts. So one I have is, okay, I will meet you at the cafe. So better would be I'll meet, okay, see, now at the cafe, because you are talking about meeting at a place, not about that you will meet that person inside the cafe. So what you are talking is the general vicinity, that where do you want to meet. It is not about going in or out, or where you will be waiting for that person, whether you will be waiting inside. For example, if you say I'll wait for you in the cafe, so that will mean that you will wait inside the cafe. For example, they said they will meet in the lunchroom, so in means inside of the lunchroom. So these kind of things matter when you are deciding. So I will meet you at the cafe is not wrong, because you are talking in general sense. You're not saying whether in or out of the cafe. Both the things don't apply in what your conversation is. So it will be right in that context. Again, I studied at the universities, right, Kumuda, because you are not talking about in or out of the university in that case, right? You are just giving generally that I studied at university, because the opposite or the other way of that can be somebody can say, oh really, I have studied at a college. So it's like general things we are discussing. In that case, we are not talking about inside or outside. So that does not apply there. Okay. No, I live in Sydney. You live inside of Sydney. You don't live outside of Sydney. So I live at Sydney won't be correct. I live in Sydney, because then you mean to say, because the other person would say, okay, I live in Melbourne, means there are borders and you are inside those borders, two different borders. That will be in. Right? Anything else in this particular slide? Okay. Let's have a look what we have next. Okay, this is important. This is what you can get confused in the exam. So with the previous slides, just try that whatever has been tried to convey to you, you get those things, because if you will know those things, it will be easy to fill those blanks which are actually going to come in the exam, because in their conversation language won't be used, and the confusion for those particular things only come in conversation language, not in in that formal writing language. The confusion comes here when you are confused between over and above. So we have made a small table to give you clear hints. So both over and above are used to refer to an object higher than a point. When it is at a raised position, higher than something, then we say over and above. Both are used to represent that. What is the difference is over is used when you have both location and motion, whereas above is used only with location when there is no movement. Motion again means movement. Over is used with numbers, above is not used with numbers. Over, something is moving and is directly perpendicular. Now the two examples will make it clear. The bird flew over the house. Now what things are being applied? Location is the house. Motion is flying, because flying cannot be at a still position. Flying definitely means the bird is moving. and something is moving and is directly perpendicular, yeah, it will be directly perpendicular to the house, going over the house. So what very easy fits from here is location and motion, both of them. Whereas if we take an example of above, the carpets were on the shelf above the cups. Now this above is showing you the position of the shelf. Where is the shelf? The shelf is above where the cups are. There is no movement. The shelf is not moving. The cups are not moving. Then we use above when you have location only and no motion is there. No movement is given. And the same way we can have over with numbers, like for example, there are over 50,000 people in this city. We cannot say there are above 50,000 people in this city. So it will be over when we want to say higher than or more than, and we have a number given, then we'll say over 50,000. We won't say above 50,000. Got it? So this was, I found this in 2 or 3 questions. So this can make it very clear. Numbers is one basis of differentiation, and movement, is there movement or we don't have movement, is the other basis of differentiation. Right? Any doubts in this one? You should be clear. Okay. Let's see what we have next is to refer to an object lower than a point. Now, similarly, as we did 2 things for higher than a point, there are 4 things to mean lower than a point, which are below, underneath, under, okay, below, beneath, under, and underneath. So we'll go one by one. Underneath is used when you specifically want to convey that one thing is covered by another thing. So apply a bit of your extra focus to understand, because everything will mean the same, that one thing is under, but what is your perspective of saying matters here. That sentence means to say that it is being covered. Then we use underneath. For example, this jacket or the jacket is too small for me to wear a jumper underneath. So you want to say that covering, that the jacket won't be able to cover the jumper. So you cannot wear it because it won't be able to cover. Then we say underneath when the perspective is to show that we are talking about covering, covering of something by something else. Under is one word in which generally we say one thing is directly under the other, and that one thing can be with respect to 3 prepositions. For example, it is in a lower place, it is to a lower place of position, or we are talking about through a lower place of position. For example, my dog used to sleep under our bed, but he's grown too big now to do that. Now, under our bed here means in a lower place. So we are talking about a particular place which is lower than with respect to the other place. So that is under the bed means the floor is at a lower place than the height of the bed. So in a lower place. Otherwise, we sat under the stars and admired the sky. So again, it is about a lower place than where the stars are at a higher position, and you sat lower to the stars. So this is the use of under when you directly want to say in a lower place, to a lower place, or through a lower place. So to and through are very rarely used. Generally we use in a lower place. Lower is second form of verb. So you can understand that you're making a comparison between 2 places where one is lower than the other. Then we say under. Now beneath is same as under and underneath, but if you will be given beneath with under or underneath, so we will be selecting beneath because it is the more formal version of both of them. It is used in the same context, but if you have beneath as the option, it is more formal in writing, so we'll go with beneath. Over, under, and underneath. Now, below is a slightly different concept. Below is referring to the same group or set. For example, the same building, the same document. For example, here we say who lives in the flat below yours? So two flats would be in the same building. So we'll say below your flat, but the flats would be in the same building. Then we'll say below. Read and sign the document below. So you have to read on the same part and sign on the same part, but just the same document, but at a lower position. So then we say below the document. So when you are talking about covering, we use underneath. When you're just talking about a lower position or a lower place, we use under. Both of them can be replaced with beneath if you have beneath as the option, because it is more formal. And below is when you're talking about the same group or same set or same, like building, paper, house. House cannot be. So in that context, we use below, like flat in the same building. Read the document and sign below means you have to sign at the same document which you are reading, but at a below position. Any doubts in this one? No, under the sky, below the sky. Under the sky, won't be below. Yes, we can say under the table. Underneath the table won't be the thing, because we are not, because the table is not covering anything. If the table is covering anything, if your perspective or the writing of the sentence you want to say the table has covered something, then you can say underneath. Otherwise, in general way, we generally use this is kept under the table, because we are not saying that the table has covered it. If you want to convey something like covered, then yes, you will use underneath. But I think what you are asking is under the table, not underneath. And it won't be below the sky, it will be under the sky. Anything else? The example for underneath is given here. The jacket is too small for me to wear a jumper underneath. So you want to say being covered by something. One more, if I create, we can say the nuts are underneath the leaves. That means the leaves have covered the nuts. So what my intention of saying is that the nuts have been covered by leaves. Then we'll say underneath. So whenever you think of saying in the form of covering, then you use underneath for that. All right. Okay, let's move ahead. Rug is under the table or underneath the table? Okay, this is a test for all of you. The rug is under the table or underneath the table? Why are you answering, Anush? You asked the question. Under the table, yes, because we are just talking about at a lower position, that we are not saying that the table has covered the rug. Right, very good. That's okay. Okay, let's see what we have next is, okay, this is what a special relationship. Now it's nothing, just like you're talking about with respect to something. Two of the prepositions which are generally used in this definition are across and along. Across means on the other side of something, from one side to the other of something, which has, what is this? Which has sides, sorry, which has sides or limits such as city, road, or river. So across means when we want to say the other side of something. For example, here we say we took a boat across the river. So across here means from one side to the other side of the river. Like the next one says, from one side to the other of something, and that something should has a boundary, should has a limit, and should have some sides. So then we use the word across, from one side to the another, and that thing has some kind of limits and sides, such as city, City will definitely have limits, road will have sides, river will have sides, then we use the word across. Next example is across the room, we could see some old friends. Now this across is when we want to say, like if we have a look around in the whole room, then it's across the rooms means within the boundaries of that room, we see some old friends. So across does not mean a particular corner or a particular side. Across will mean just like overall in the room if we see, but in the room, within the boundaries of something, we see some old friends. So like we say, we use this across a number of times in the blanks. We say across the globe. So across means overall, everywhere in the globe, inside the globe, not going outside of that, because a globe will also have a boundary or a limit. So that is how we use the word across. And then one is along. Along is used in a line next to something long and thin. So for example, a road or a path or a river. So along is just like side by side. So when something long and thin is, I don't know right or not, but we have something long and you're walking side by side or going side by side. So side by side is represented with along. For example, we went on a walk along the river. So river would be a long thing and you went side of the river. That will be along the river. So these are two words that we say for spatial relationship, sorry. So what we have as doubts is, can we say we crossed the river by boat? Yes. How is this related to this? We can say it. We crossed the river by boat would be a general way. Next, Ranjan has asked, the bird flew over the border or across the border? That depends upon Ranjan. If you are talking about over, like you want to just say it is at a higher position, then it will be over. If you want to say that it crossed from one border to another, then you will say across, like from one border to another, then it will be across. So it depends upon that. Are you just want to say that it was higher than the border, like you saw it on the border, or you are wanting to say that the bird crossed started from one border and it went to the other border, then it will be across. Can we say along means going parallel? Yes, we can say going parallel to something. Side, parallel can be. Okay, I'll take one, just give me 1 second. Law has been implemented across different states in India. Yes, so we want to say that in many different states, and across would be, it's not like in south part of the state or the north part of the state. So across means generally in many states of India, then we can say across, because the states will have boundaries. So we want to say in those states, it has been implemented. Any other doubts in this particular part, anyone? Okay. Okay, we have something to further simplify your doubts and your confusions by giving you a list. Common verb plus preposition combination. So if the time is running, which is a major problem with many of the students, frequently asked question, how to manage time. There can be different strategies, but yes, we can try that. When it comes to preposition, we can give you some verbs which generally go with those prepositions. So with about, we use three main common, like don't think like any other word cannot come with about now, but they are common prepositions. So worry about, complain about, and read about or read about. So like we say, do not worry about this, I will handle. Or she complained about my behavior. So with complain about. I read about this author a year ago. So it is about. So worry, complain, and read would be, yes, there can be numerous words like talked about. So then at, when you talk about arrive, smile, and look, we use at with that. With from, we say like differ from and suffer from. For is important. For generally does not come with many verbs. So you can say account for example, who will account for this loss? So account for means to be responsible for. When you say account for. Allow for, please allow me for this. So allow will be with for in the sentence. Search for, let us search for the evidence. So search for goes together. In is with occur, you say in, result in, and succeed in. All three of them, you use in with them. With of, approve, consist, and smells. Consist is easy. This consists of the procedure. Kindly approve of my leave. So kindly approve my leave is also fine. But if in case you have a space for preposition with approve, then go with of. This smells of a candy. So smells of can go together. With on, we say concentrate on something, depend on something, insist on something. With to, we use belong to. I belong to this country. Contribute to this issue. Lead to this result, and refer to this person. So with all four of them, we use to. Then we have last one is with agree, disagree, argue, and deal. Don't argue with me. I don't want to deal with you. I agree with you. I disagree with you. So with we use these four common prepositions. Yes, with related will be to, associated will be with. Thank you for reminding. We say related to this thing and associated with something. Then we have adjective plus preposition combination. So accustomed to, be aware of, beneficial to, like we say, this policy is beneficial to all the people. With capable, we say capable of, I am capable of studying 2 more hours. Characteristic of something, composed by and of, both of them can go depending upon what is the sentence trying to convey. Different, with different comes from. Disappointed can be with, generally goes, but if with is not there, then we can say in as well. Disappointed in, though it will be very rare kind of sentences. Employed at, if you're talking about the place, about the name, like I am employed at this name of the company, like Amazon. And employed by can also go. I'm employed by Amazon. Essential to, these things are really essential to complete the task. So essential and to go together. And few more. Familiar with, good at or for, grateful for, and to, I'm grateful for your help. I'm grateful to God. So interested goes with in. Happy can go with 3 of them. I'm happy about my result. I'm happy for you. I'm happy with this result. So all 3 can go. Opposed go with 2. That's common. I'm proud of is also common. Then responsible for is just like account for, who is responsible for this result. With similar, we use to, similar to this, I have got a dress. Sorry about your loss or sorry for your loss, both of them can go. So this is a very like handy thing for you to just go, and in case you get prepositions based on this. They generally come after the adjective. Prepositions come after the adjectives. Like you'll say the adjective and then you'll say what preposition, like familiar with. Okay. Okay, what we have is connectors, the next thing, which is first is we have understanding of connectors. Understanding, I have tried to simplify the very basic meanings of the connectors for you to just like when somebody asks that what is the meaning of even so, or what is the meaning of even this or that. So this can be simplified with this understanding. So like the general word is and, the connector that we use when you want to say and is also, in addition, additionally, moreover, and furthermore. They all draw down to the basic thing, and means you're highlighting one more idea. Then we put all of these connectors. So out of these also is the most informal one. In addition, additionally, moreover, and furthermore are the formal ones. So it's very rare that you will get to select also anywhere if you don't have any of the remaining four ones. But generally you will prefer all other four over also. When it comes to in addition, additionally, in addition and additionally, do not get confused. They are interchangeable, but just the way of writing depends. In addition is used when you are highlighting a new idea, and additionally will be used as an adverb. So additionally is, if it is given in the starting of the sentence, then both of them can come. They won't give you an in addition and additionally both in the starting of the sentence to select from. That won't be a choice. In case it is in between a sentence, then you should go with additionally as an adverb. That way the sentence is complete without the blank and you need adverb and you have a verb written after, then you go with adverb. With moreover and furthermore, moreover is next level up from furthermore. So for example, you say firstly this, then furthermore, and then moreover. So like first additional point is given with furthermore, and one more additional point is given with moreover. So one step up from furthermore is moreover. But otherwise, if that is not the case, then they can be used interchangeably as well. So if they both are given, then you just see, very rare again that they will be given together, but in case they're given together, just check that whether they have already given a point and they're just extending that particular point, then go with moreover over furthermore, but that won't be the case in the exam for you. Then the connectors which highlight but means contrast are however, even so, though, nevertheless, nonetheless, still, yet, in contrast, on the other hand, on the contrary. All of them just mean like but, means when you have to go to the other side of the story, then you use any of these connectors. So just understand these as a use of but, to just understand that what do they mean. And then so we'll go through these one by one, that what is the difference in the next slide, just telling you that the basic segregation, that what is the what are the general meanings. One we have is so and because. So and because, when they mean cause and effect, like one is the reason and the effect of that, or one the cause and the effect of that cause, then we use so and because. And in the same way we use therefore. Just give me 1 second, sorry. Yes, sorry. The perks of working from home. You can go mute and do your work. Okay. So coming back to so and because, when you are talking in terms of giving the effect of what you said previously, then you use these words. Therefore, therefore is used when you want to say because of this reason. This means you just mention the reason, and then therefore means because of this reason that you mentioned. Does again mean the same. So with does, you are concluding whatever discussion has been done. You conclude and you give the overall result of that discussion, that is thus. Consequently is again used when you want to say the result in a negative way generally. And otherwise what you have is hence. So I will discuss the difference between hence, thus, and therefore also in the next slide, but just here that hence is again used when you are concluding the previous part, and then you are talking about something that what result it will have in the future, that is the use of hence. For this reason, again, just like therefore. So if you will have for this reason and therefore given, you will select therefore above for this reason, because therefore is more academic way of saying for this reason. As a result, again, as a result is just like therefore. So it can be interchangeable with therefore and as a result, but you will prefer therefore over that. That is why is again just like therefore, giving the effect of some reason that you have mentioned. And so this, that is why I'll again tell you that what does it link with does or hence, or which, what can be replaced with it. So these all, therefore, thus, consequently, hence, for this reason, as a result, that is why, are used when the previous sentence had the cause, and the sentence written after this word or after these words will have the result of the previous sentence. Okay, so this is their general understanding. So in case you want, so is also used in terms of similarity. Then you use two connectors, similarly or likewise. Both of them can be interchanged with each other. So you won't get both as an option to select from. But similarly and likewise are to be used when you want to say same, like the previous thing said. If you are talking about before, then you can say beforehand, before this, first, then, next, or afterwards. So this is about the sequence. So what happened before something and what happened after, what happened first and what happened next. So the chronological order when given, when we use these connectors. So when you have a choice, or means alternatively, and or only means otherwise as well. So when you are just giving choice, you want to say this or that, you can say alternatively or otherwise in that case. And while is used in two contexts. One is comparison and one is time period. So here we are talking about the time. When we are talking about while with respect to time, the connectors are meanwhile, also mean at the same time or at the same moment. So these are when we use while with respect to time. For example, we say that I completed my homework while watching television. So while means I completed my homework at the same time when I was watching television. So while is at the same time. Or meanwhile is a better version of that. So when you say when Europe and Britain were fighting, meanwhile America took the benefit. So meanwhile means during the same time. So it's more academic way of saying while. So this is very, very important for you to just segregate a general meaning of all the connectors, so that you can after that select on the basis of which is more formal, which is more academic, and which actually matches with the context. So these are the general understandings of that. Any questions in this? I will go on in spite of, we have it in the next slide. Yeah, we are going on differences, guys. Don't worry, we have different slides based on differences. Let us cover those slides with differences. And if I'll miss some difference, then just ask me again if I don't cover those differences. Okay. Likely, Rekha, is used in a collocation. This is likely to be done. So when we are talking about possibility, then we use likely. We very rarely, Ahmed, we can see but and however in the same sentence. It can be like a combination of formal and informal language, then it is possible. But otherwise, I believe instead of but only, we will be writing however, because but is a general conversational language and however is its only academic writing version. But I cannot completely rule out the possibility, still it can be there, but in the same sentence, it's a bit doubtful. Okay, let me have a look at what differences I have shortlisted, and then we will look at what have I missed. So the first one I have is differences. The first is even though and even so. Even though precedes the fact, while even so follows the fact. Very easy distinction. Even though precedes means it comes before the fact. That means whatever your fact is, you write it after even though. But with even so is written after the fact has been written. Examples will make it clear. This says even though, and then you give the fact. What is the fact? Her writing is not clear. I can understand it. And the other side, her handwriting is not clear enough, but even so, I can understand it, or I can understand. So this is the basic and very easy distinction between even though and even so. So if the blank is given before the fact, then just select even though. If the blank is given after a fact and you're just giving the result of the fact, then you write even so in that case. So I will try to cover 2 at a time and then ask you the questions. So with though and although, it's very easy. They are used in the same context. You won't get though and although in one blank to select from, but if you get, then you have to select although. Although is more formal than though. Though is again spoken language, although is a formal written language. So though and although won't come in the blank. I'm telling you, this is not, they're not going to come. It's very rare. If they want to make it very easy, then they can give it. But otherwise, it won't be the case. You'll get some other things with although. We'll go on to that as well. And about nonetheless, nevertheless, and however. However is the least and the most general word. The bit better version is nevertheless, and the most formal version is nonetheless. So these 3 go in the order of most formal nonetheless, the second highest nevertheless, and the third highest however. Okay. So anything in this, even though and even so, is it clear? And though and although, and this however, nevertheless, and nonetheless. Last one is that if you have a choice between nonetheless and nevertheless, what you will select is nonetheless. These are written in the order of their highest formal value. So if there is a choice between nevertheless and however, we will select nevertheless. If there is a choice between nonetheless and nevertheless, we will select nonetheless. Okay. So nevertheless means like when you want to say anyways. So if in general speaking language, we say anyways, we say nevertheless or nonetheless in writing, to be very exact and precise on that. So it means anyways, but yes, they are used in with the as a, what we can say, substitution to however and but. So for example, I can create a sentence for you. It was raining quite heavily, full stop. Nevertheless, I went for the exam. So it just means anyways, I went for the exam. Means like doesn't matter. The same way we can say that it was raining very heavily. but I went for the exam. So that basic meaning is but with respect to how much formality we have to show or how formal is the context, we select one out of those options given in front of but that we did in the previous slide. So just like we can say it was raining very heavily, however, I went for the exam. So that means, but I went for the exam. And the same ways it can be, nevertheless, I went for the exam. And the most formal would be, nonetheless, I went for the exam. Okay, any other doubts in this particular slide? All right. So when we have difference between yet and still, so let's go with the definition. Yet is used to refer to something a person is waiting for or expecting, but that hasn't happened so far. So when the sentence tells you that the subject is waiting for or something is expected to happen, but that thing has not happened, then we say yet. Example is, it isn't raining yet. For example, if you say that it's very cloudy outside and somebody asks you, is it raining? You say, no, it isn't raining yet. Yet means it is expected that it will rain depending upon the type of weather that we have, but it hasn't started yet. Started till that moment, then we say yet. It hasn't rained, it isn't raining yet. Or we say something like, the research has not been completed yet. So that will mean when we want to say that the research has started and it is expected to complete, or you're waiting for it to complete, but it has not completed, then we'll say yet with that. Whereas still is used to refer something that begun in the past and is continuing into the present. So something that has started and that thing is continuing, then we say still. Like, he still lives far away. That tells us that he used to live far away and till now he's living far away. And then it is still snowing, means it started and it has not ended, it is still continuing, then we say still. So that is the difference between yet and still. So you just understand from the sentence in the blank that whether they are trying to say that something started and is continuing, or they are expecting something to happen, then it will be yet, otherwise still. Then next we have is a difference between whereas and while. So whereas and while in terms of comparison are same. Most probably you won't be given these two as an option to select when it is talking about comparison. That won't be the case. What you can get is whilst and while, whilst and while. And if that is the case, you should go with WHILST over WHILE, because the former one is more formal than the latter one. So the one with ST is formal than LE. This is a possibility to get this in the exam, whereas and while won't come as a one blank, because they can be interchangeably used when you are talking about comparison. Like, for example, she belongs to north, whereas I belong to south. In the same way, we can say she belongs to north while I belong to south. So it's completely same meaning when we are talking about comparison. Okay, any doubts in this slide? So they are the same. WHILST means the same as while. So you can say that whilst I was reading, she rang me, or you can say while I was reading, she rang me. Exactly the same. It's just about which one is more formal. The first one is more formal, and the second one is lesser formal. The only thing that you need to understand is if both of them are given as options, you will select the first one over the second one. They mean exactly the same. Like you can say, like you can say that while I was driving, I got his call. So you can say whilst I was driving, I got his call. Exactly same. What do we have is yet and still. Do you want me to repeat the whole concept of yet and still again? So yet is used when you're expecting something to happen that has not happened, whereas still is used when something has started and it is still continuing, then we use still. This is a basic difference in these two. What else do we have? Still and since mean the same. No, not really. Since is when you are talking about the starting of, like when did something start, then you say since. But still is when something has started, we don't want to say when it started, we just want to say it has started and it is still continuing, then we say still. So it's not same as since. Since represents the starting of something. It highlights and it emphasizes on the starting. Like we did that sentence that I have lived in Australia since 2005. Okay, no worries. So all good with this one. Next differences we have. Now this is going to come in the exam for sure. It always comes. Yeah, okay. Everybody's going to get this file in their emails. Don't worry about that. We use a noun, gerund. Gerund means the ing form of verb, continuous form of verb, or a pronoun after in spite of and despite. Now we are doing the most popular and the most important for connectors. In spite of, despite, although, and even though. Now first let's understand that the first two, which are in spite of and despite, how are they written, how are they framed in a sentence. So whenever we use in spite of or despite, both of them, after that what we have is a noun, or we have ing form of verb, or we have pronoun. So three things can come after in spite of and despite. The examples are despite having, so ing form of verb, a headache, I had a great party. The other one is in spite of the pain. Now what is pain? Pain is a noun. Pain is a thing. Pain is a feeling. So in spite of the pain in her leg, she completed the race. So after despite and in spite of, what we have is either a noun, ing form of verb, or a pronoun, these three things. Whereas when it comes to although and even though, what we have after these words is a subject plus a verb. Now, if you look at the previous sentences, despite having a headache, you don't have a subject here. Subject means who has headache. So it is not given despite I had a headache. So I is missing, or despite she had a headache, she is missing. So when you use despite and in spite of, the subject is not written after that. We simply have straight away noun, gerund, that is ing form of verb, or a pronoun. Whereas with although and even though, you always have subject, that who is answered there, and then you have a verb after that. For example, although we have met before. So who has met before? We have met before. We don't really know each other. Otherwise, she didn't get the job even though she had the qualification. So again, she, who has the qualification? She had the qualification is given. So after although and even though, you will always have the answer to who, or the subject will be given before the verb, and it will be subject plus verb, both of them given. So what you are going to get in the exam is, you are 90% of the times you are not going to get a blank to select despite and in spite of. Out of these two, what you are going to get is you will get despite and although. So select one, despite or although. So how are you going to select is reading after the blank. If you have a subject, then you will select although. If you don't have a subject, then you will select despite. And similarly, you will have a choice between even though and in spite of. So these two will be given as options, and you have to select on the same basis. If a subject is given, like the answer to who is given, then you will select even though. But if the subject is not given, there's directly noun or ing form of verb or pronoun, then you will select in spite of. So it simply depends upon what is written after the blank, and based on that you select. So what you are going to get, again I'm repeating, you will get a choice between although and despite, and you will get a choice between even though and in spite of. So these are this is the basis on which you have to differentiate between them. After despite we always need ing. Jagmeet Singh, what did I write here? After despite, it can be a noun, it can be ing form of verb or a pronoun. Any of these three can be there, but subject won't be there. And can we put even though at the beginning of the sentence? Yes, Pritham, it is completely fine to put even though in the beginning or after in the second part. Doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is what is written after that. If you have a noun or you have a subject, that makes all the difference. Yes. You need noun, ing, and pronoun with despite, and subject won't be there. This is what you have to keep in mind, and what will be missing, because what will be there will confuse you, because there will so many words and you are going to spend time, okay, this is noun, this is gerund, this is pronoun. Don't focus on that. Yes, you should know these words, but for time management, what you can focus on is what is missing. Is the subject there or not should be your question. If the answer is yes, subject is there, then select although or even though. If the subject is not there, then select despite or in spite of. Yes, Asha, in spite of can come in between a sentence as well. If I change the same sentence. Can we really? She had pain in her leg, but in spite of that, she completed the race. Yes, we can rephrase it. No, with although you will always have subject and verb given, always, Smith. There's no exception to that. Okay, are we clear with this now? Nobody is going to make this mistake. I'm going to note down your names, how many of you are in the class. Yes, despite and in spite of are replaceable. So that is why I'm saying you won't get a choice between them. And same is the case with although and even though you're not going to get, but in case you get, then what we have in the next slide is for you. Despite is more formal than in spite of, and even though is more formal than although, but make it a point. This is just 5% chances that you're going to get this. What you're going to get is what we discussed in the previous slide. Difference, selection between although and despite, and selection between even though and in spite of will be there in the exam. But in case, yes, your answer to this question is, if you get that, then you should choose even though over although, and you should choose despite over in spite of. Okay, any doubts now in these four? So this is what is written here. If you have despite and in spite, both of them, you have to select despite. It is more formal than in spite of. Okay. All right. So this was all about connectors and prepositions. Now, if you still have any differences with you, that what is the difference between this and that, then you can ask me. If you already have something in your mind. Okay, through and from, yes. So what happens is through is used when after that word you have a means of getting the thing. For example, like you said, people gain knowledge through social media, because social media can be in a lot of forms, which can be Facebook, which can be Twitter, which can be Instagram, or whatever we have. So through is when you want to say that the means is social media, and from is used when you are particularly highlighting that one form from which you are getting information. For example, you can say, I got this news from Facebook. You won't say, I got this news through Facebook. Okay, so that is when you're highlighting and emphasizing one particular source, then you will select from. When you are saying through the means of this, and that means can have numerous forms, then we answer with through. All right, Vivek. Anybody else with a question on distinctions or differences that you have in mind? And even if you have, don't worry, just leave it in the comment section. We will cover it. What we can do is, if there will be 2, 3, or 4, or any of them, like we have the class every day from 7 to 9, we'll keep half an hour in that class, or 15-20 minutes every day to take whatever comments you will leave, and we'll cover that. So don't worry, it won't be covered. Keep on noting down if you like, when you solve blanks and you have any kind of those confusions, keep noting down. And once we finish the practice session every day, we can have a discussion on that. I tried to cover the most basic ones, that the repetitive ones on which you have doubts. But yes, I don't think this is the end to that list. There will be numerous others, and we're very happy to have a discussion on that as well. Okay, so I haven't got any difference here. So I'll continue and I'll see if you write something for me. Now, last week when we were doing blanks, some of you asked that what are the different types of the perspectives that we should be having when we are solving blanks. So few very basic things about blanks is read from full stop to full stop. And why do we have to do that? It's to eliminate the unnecessary words, because in the blank sometimes we have really long sentences, and each and every word in that sentence does not really make a difference on what we are selecting. So in that case, read that long sentence to help yourself that you can eliminate the unnecessary words. Unnecessary in the sense that they don't affect your answer in any way. And those unnecessary words can be words between 2 hyphens, words between 2 commas, and the adverbs with ly. Till now, anybody who's attending classes from a week or so must be knowing that without the ly word, the sentence is always grammatically complete. So you don't need that word to understand what is the meaning. That's just additional information given through adverbs. So you can eliminate those words. You can eliminate the hyphen to hyphen part. You can eliminate part between 2 commas. You can eliminate the names of universities, the names of persons. So and like all the proper nouns, I would say university of this and this and that, and the names of persons, they are not at all required. And this will help you to simplify and shorten the sentence. Once the sentence is short, it makes it easier to understand that. Then what should be your sequence of steps to solve blanks is, let's say you read a sentence and there comes a blank. The first thing before looking at the options is you should see that is any basic grammar rule applying. Basic grammar rule, you have a list given in the previous email that I sent you. So the basic rules were, is it to, then you should look for V1. If it is be with blank, you should look for V3, third form of verb. If the noun is plural, then you should look for a verb without S. If the noun is singular, you should look for a verb with S. So these are basics. Without even putting any effort, this should be just that, like looking and trying to solve, not applying your mind, looking and trying to solve. Because you believe or not, if you're getting like 30 blanks in the exam, easily 7 or 8 out of them can be solved with just this. Just look that, okay, 2 and first form, okay, you have all 3 options with third forms and 1 with first form, you can go with that. If this is not the case, this will definitely help you to eliminate at least one of the options which won't be grammatically correct. So you eliminate that. And next you check if any collocation is applying. Now collocation is like we have done today, the verb and the preposition collocation. We did today the adjective and preposition collocation. Those kind of collocations, plus we keep on doing a lot of collocations every day. And I expect you people to have a list of collocations from the LA side as well. So check quickly if any collocation applies. Then if these two are not working, then apply your mind to find out that what exactly do you need? Do you need a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb? Now these all four parts were covered again in the previous email that we have sent you. So you need to have an understanding on all four. And in that in that file, we also covered the identification. You can just look at a word and you can tell, okay, this is a noun. Look at a verb and you can tell that, okay, this is a verb. So that identification is really very important to be on your mind so that you can quickly see that, okay, this is noun and I need a verb. And then a very important and the check which generally you forget is to check whether you need the word which should be positive or negative. This plays a very, very important role. So do this. You should be reading the sentence, and even if you don't understand each and every word in the sentence, I can definitely say for sure that there will be one or two words at least that we understand, and those one and two words are enough to tell us that they're going positive or negative. So that is very important for you to know that, okay, I need something negative, I need something positive, and this is a very, very important basis to select out of the similar looking options. So these are the basic things that you should be doing when you're solving blanks. And you know, you need to have a sequence of steps for yourself, because otherwise time management would be very difficult in the exam. Now, when you ask me how can we manage time, is knowing that what you're going to do. What you people do is while solving, you decide, okay, I can do this, or should I do this, or I can try this. So that should not be the case. Maybe try doing this sequence, that first I'll check grammar, then I'll check collocation, then I check the requirement, and then I'll check positive, negative. Make a habit of a sequence for yourself, because this wastage of time is generally in these things, that what should I do, or rereading the things again and again, that won't simplify anything. Positive and negative, the meaning is like sometimes there are words, for example, anybody remember any example that we did about positive and negative? For example, there was, okay, like we say, yeah, consequences and results. Thank you, Mohammed. Like we say, consequences is when you are talking about negative result. And if you're not saying negative, then you should go with the word result. The results of this is, you can say the consequences of this are. So this depends upon what are the results negative or are the results positive. Qualities can be very important, that if you're talking about qualities about somebody, you should select positive words. This person is charming and this and that. And if they are talking negative, then obviously your word choice will vary according to that. Yes, exaggerate is a very good example. If there is like explain and exaggerate, so explain would be like positive, negative, but exaggerate is only used in negative sense. So this is the difference between positive and negative. They both mean the same, but the difference is like whether you want to say it is negative or whether you want to say it is positive. Okay, somebody asked for something. Can you please explain? Okay, active, passive, Deepti, sorry. Deepti, we have already covered active, passive in the previous session. What you can do is you can ask for the link to that video. I'll arrange that link for you. Just leave your email address here. I'll send you that link, go through that, because it is definitely an important, a long concept. We have examples in that link. So just go through that video. And if you will have any doubts, just email me back about whatever queries you will have, and we'll definitely sort this out. All right, let's see if something is left in the slides to cover for today. Okay, I started with reorders, but I want to make it more in depth. So I would really not like to cover it today because, yeah, so I have few things in reorder still in my mind that I definitely want to add on to this. So I will add on that and we'll have like this an in-depth discussion on reorders because that's also important. I don't want to just like do it for the sake of doing it. So we're already in process for that. All of you are requested to leave your email addresses and we will share the document of this, whatever we have discussed with you. And this video is going to stay on the Language Academy Facebook page because it is being live streamed. So if you have any doubt, just go through that again. And I would recommend you to go through it at least once. So, okay, if anybody of you want the previous, what is it, document as well, the previous grammar sheet, along with your email, please write down 1 and 2 both, because that will help me to find out that who should I send 1 and who should I send 2 documents. Okay. Okay, so these were the topics to cover today. I hope it is going to benefit you and help you in some way and will have clarified some of your concepts. I'll send you the document and I expect you to receive it by tomorrow maximum. Okay, for reorders, all right. For reorders, I'll try to finish it today and we'll have the discussion. What we can do is tomorrow we have the class, right? So after the class, we won't do reorders in the class. We'll cover the blanks in 1.5 hours and we'll keep half an hour or 45 minutes after that for the discussion of reorders. At least we'll start with that. And if you'll still have doubts, we'll keep on doing that on every other day with the blanks. Okay, I hope that will be helpful. Yes, we'll do it tomorrow itself. Some part of the orders like 40-45 minutes, we'll cover it tomorrow itself. Okay, somebody asked me the difference between conversely and inversely. I read it somewhere. So, okay, whosoever it was, conversely is when you want to say on the other hand, and inversely is when you want to say the opposite of something. So that is the difference. When you exactly want to say the opposite, then you say inversely. Conversely is like giving the other side of the story and which may or may not be opposite. That is on the other hand is like conversely and opposite is inversely. Current, recent, and present. Okay, current is the now time, like currently we are having the class. Recent time is just the thing that just passed. For example, recently I prepared for the resource of the class. So recently means like yesterday, day before yesterday, in the previous week, that is recent. And present time is just like current time. So I think present time would be more formal than current times. What do we have? Okay, so these were the topics. Those who do not have any doubts and those who have given their email addresses, yes, you can leave. And we'll have a class tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. First, we'll do some blanks practice and then followed by some discussions on reorders for tomorrow. For collocations list, okay, wait, for collocations list, please go to your tutor, whosoever you are in contact with. I don't have it, but okay, I'll arrange it for myself and I'll email if I get one, but whosoever tutor you contact with, you can ask from them for the collocation list. Just to make it quicker. So active passive is covered in the previous sheet. So those who haven't got it, the previous one. Once you do the previous one, you have nouns, verbs, adjectives, and verbs plus active passive in that plus basic grammar rules. It's all covered in that. Okay, Ritika has a link for the first video, so you can take it from here. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope that just helps you and that will solve the purpose. As that's okay. Yeah, see you tomorrow.